tool itself to have our indicators, our core indicators, and computed and visible. So the first, just a quick reminder. So we had already looked into this during the last session, but we will be using this today. So just a quick reminder on how to access the survey itself. So it is the OCHA Kobo Toolbox server that is accessible at this, this address on your browser, on your computer. So it's the https://kobo@humanitarianresponse.info. So as soon as you type in this address in your browser, you'll be arriving at this login page. And here you would need to enter your username and password and then on login in order to connect to your server and see the surveys you currently have in your server. Now for this training session, some SWSC project teams have received login credentials shared via email prior to session 2. While other teams may have preferred to use or create their own accounts. So this is, you can create your account anytime, it's free. So yes, you can access it anytime. Now, another reminder on the ODK Collect credentials. So we have already looked into this in sessions 1 and 2 of this, this webinar. By default, you'll have to enter. So here we have a screenshot of the ODK Collect application on the smartphone, and here we have a screenshot of the instructions on the Kobo Toolbox account, so on the server itself. Now on ODK Collect application, by default, you probably have to, oh my apologies, have to enter the URL, username, and password. So all three informations will need to be entered for your application to be able to connect to the server. Now, if you wish, for instance, that your enumerators do not see what the username and password is for this Kobo Toolbox account, as if they have any knowledge on how to use the Kobo Toolbox account, they could indeed log in themselves on their own browsers. So if you wish to protect the username and password and only have to use the URL, to connect to the server, you will then have to go on the server itself, on the settings of the account, of your account, and make sure that this box here, require authentication to see form and submit data, is not ticked. If this box is ticked, it will require the URL, username, and password for your application to be able to connect to the server. And if it's not ticked, the URL will be sufficient. So this is done on the server itself. So we had already looked into this in session 2, but just a quick reminder on this in case you need it in the future. Now, once you have collected your data, you start collecting your data and you have sent at least one data entry to the server, you will start seeing it directly on the server itself. So this is a screenshot of the server itself. And as soon, so you have here, for instance, in my case, I have 4 different questionnaires that are open. And here in this column, submissions, I can start seeing the number of submissions that I have. So for instance, let me go on my browser and I'll be connecting so that I can show you the different steps. So the address was kobo@humanitarianresponse.info, sorry. Then I'm arriving at the login page. I need to enter both the username and password to log in. So then I click on login. And I am arriving at my Kobo Toolbox account. And here, remember from session 2, the deployed surveys are the ones that are visible on the phones, on the smartphones. So those are the active one. I have the WIH and WINS that you have already seen actually during session 1 mainly. And here I can see the number of submissions, so meaning data entries that I have. For the first form, I have 11, and for the second one, I have 21. So as soon as I put put my mouse on it, and then I see other options. But if I just look at it, I see I have 11 and 21 data entries. Now, the authentication option, so that on the ODK Collect application, you only have to enter the URL and the username and passwords are not necessary. For that to be the case, you need to click on your icon here of your account, go to account settings, and here require authentication to see form and submit data. Make sure that this is not ticked. So as soon as you have changed anything, then you click on save changes, and then it is saved here. And you can go back to your projects. Okay. Were you able to see my browser, just to make sure?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so this is how you start seeing your data incoming, being sent to your Kobo Toolbox account. Now, how do I access my data? Okay, so I see the number of data entries that I have, but how do I access it? Now, what you need to know is that, so here I have entered the WINS project on my account that I'll be showing to you afterwards. And if you don't have any data, you will notice that whenever you open your project or any project without any data yet, you will have tabs for summary, form, and settings. And that's all. Now, as soon as you receive at least one data entry, you'll have the data tab that will appear, that will be created. And this is where you can actually access your data. You can visualize it, you can download it, you have several options that we wish to show to you. Now, one of the first, and all the options are here. You have reports, table, gallery, downloads, map. Now, one of the first ones that we wanted to show to you is the table option. Now, as soon as you click on the table option, you will be able to visualize all your data entries. So here you can see I have 6 results. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see them in a table. So as such as in a database, as the database itself, actually. And here you have the first one, second one, third one. And what is also interesting here is that you can also, by clicking on this view, on the little eye here icon, you can also view each one of those data entries individually. So as soon as you click on this, a new window will open with just that specific data entry that you wish to further visualize. And depending on how your form, how your questionnaire is built up, you might also be able to modify it still on the server itself by clicking on the little pencil here. So let's have a look at this on my browser. I will enter, let's enter the one that has most data entries, the WINS. So I am entering my project. As you can see here, I have the tab data that is available. So I will go to data to access my data. And I'm going to the table option so that I can visualize all my data entries in a table. So here I have the 21 results that are displayed. I have all of them here. I can go up and down, scroll up and down. And for instance, if I wish to visualize the first one, I will click on open on the little eye, and then I can see all the details that are entered here in the data entry. Also, I can also delete it from here. I can even print it, or I can edit it still. If my form, if my questionnaire is built up in a way that this is possible here on the Kobo Toolbox account. I can even visualize it in a different language. I can choose English or French. So this is what we call the labels. Now I can put it in French. Yes, indeed. And so on. So it's a good way to be able to visualize your data and also modify it or delete it if needed. Now, another option that I have on the Kobo Toolbox account is the reports visualization of your data possibility. Now, if you click on reports here, it's just above table, you will be able to see all your data. So here you'll not be able to see all your data entries individually, but you already have a bit of an analysis of your data. meaning for each one of the questions in your questionnaire, you'll have a bar graph that will be displayed, and also a table with the frequency of your responses and the percentage related to each one of the responses. And you can also even print this report. You can customize it a bit. You can, so it's really interesting for you to also use this option. So let me show it to you. I'm going to, so I'm in the same survey as before. I'm going to reports. So I have my report that is generated here. So here you have a question. This is the question. You have a bar graph for each one of them. You can also click, you have information when you click on it. So for instance, this is district A, district, and this is other. And this is with the percentage of responses that were provided for district A. And here you have a table with the value. So district A, other, district D, the same information as above. The frequency, how many people have replied, have chosen district A, for instance, and the percentage related to that frequency. And you have this for each one of the questions in the question. You can also customize the report. So you have the default report. You can also create a new report. And you can also customize the colors, the way. So for instance, if I don't want a bar chart, but I want a pie chart, I click on it and then I have only pie charts and not bar graphs. If I want, for instance, if I want my bar graph horizontal instead of vertical, I can change it from here. Okay, I find it prettier. Then I can change the colors if I wish. I can also group the questions. I can do some grouping if I'm interested. So I can even translate it if I don't want it in English but in French. I can save it this way. And I have my questions in French, for instance. So I can do several customization options here. And as soon as I'm happy with my report, analysis report, I can even print it here. So as soon as I click on my prints icon here, I can have it. I can even have it in PDF if I save it in PDF, or I can simply print it. There are 98 pages, so it takes a bit of time, but yeah, it's at some point you'll be able to see it here. Okay, so this is another visualization of your data option and analysis on the Kobo Toolbox account. Now, another option that is interesting for you as well is the gallery option here on the left side of your screen. So this is this concerns the media images. If you have taken any photos, if it was part of your survey to have images, to either take photos or import images that you already have on your phone, you will then be able to visualize it here on the gallery. So you would simply need to go to Data, Gallery, and then you'll have all of them here in the lower side of your screen. And by simply clicking on it, you can actually see them, and then you can also download them. Another interesting option that you have, if you have collected GPS coordinates, which is also part of the survey, you will be able to actually visualize it on a map. So it's simply on the data and then the map option. And here, as actually we can see those are data entries that I have sent during session 1, in between session 1 and 2. So this is actually you entering them with your GPS coordinates, and we can see you on the map. And also, for instance, here we have a number 2. If you click on it, then you'll be able to see the 2 data entries that were here. Here we can see the 4 of them, and so on and so on. So you can visualize your data on the map. Now, as we are quite scattered in the world, we don't see all the details. We see the continents themselves, but as you have a data set that is more concentrated, you'll be able to see all the details on your map and so on. So let me show you on my browser. First of all, the gallery option. So here I have a few photos. I have 6 photos that were taken. So then I can simply see them here, visualize them. And if one of them interests me, I can simply click on it and then right click, and I can copy the image or save it under on my desktop and so on. So I have to save them individually one by one. Click on them and then right click and save them. Or I can simply visualize them all here. Now for the map itself, as soon as I click on the map, the data is there. So I can see here, I can even actually see the data entry by clicking on the dots. I can see each one of them. So here I have one data entry, 1, 2 here. Here I have 4. So let's see how it looks like when I click on 4. Okay, so now it's zoomed in. And I have 1 in Lomé, 1 in Cotonou, and 2 here. So as soon as I click here, the 2 of them split. And by clicking on the dot, I can see the details of this data entry. I can also customize my map. So for instance, the colors, if I prefer other colors, I'll put this. I can also, so here I have an OpenStreetMap layer that my map is an OpenStreetMap map. But if I want to, for instance, look at the S3 world imagery instead, I can choose it as it is. I can choose my maps. I can toggle it in full screen and come back, and so on and so on. And as soon as I'm happy with it, I can take a screenshot or export it and use it in my report. Now, let's go back to our presentation. One last thing that I wanted to show to you in this data tab, that is also one of the most important ones. So for you to be able to analyze your data and visualize your data in the analyzer, in the FACET Excel Analyzer, you will need to download the data from the server. And this is the place, so data tab and downloads. This is from where you'll be able to download your data set in different types of formats. Now, what you need to know is that the only compatible format for the SWSC FACET Excel Analyzer is XLS, meaning Excel, with XML values and headers. So this is the format of the database itself. So it's Excel, it's not going to be CSV or anything else. And this is the language used in your data set. And the language needs to be XML values and headers, as otherwise your analyzer will not understand what you're importing into it. So it's really, really important that it has to be XLS with XML values and headers. Keep that in mind. So as soon as you have selected this, the export type and the formats, you can then include grouping headers. You can tick it, but it's not necessary. It's a matter of how the columns, the name of your columns will be written. But make sure you include, if you have deployed several times your form, make sure that this is ticked. Include fields from all 3 deployed versions, because you want to see all your data, your entire data set. Then you can click on imports, and then here under exports, you'll have your XLS that will be with XML language that will be exported, and you'll be able to download it from here. So let me go back to my browser again. I'll be going, so I'm in the data, and I'll be going to downloads. Now it's really, really important that I choose XLS and not all the other ones, even not XLS Legacy, it has to be XLS. And then here I have values English, and that's not the correct one. So I'll be going here and I want to choose XML values and headers. I want to include all fields from all 3 deployed versions. I'll click on exports. And now it's creating my database, it's processing. And as soon as it's ready, I have this button available and I can download my data set from here. So then I'll be able to save it on my computer somewhere on my desktop and use it in the analyzer along with the questionnaire itself, so that I can analyze my data in the Excel Analyzer too. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. One last thing that I wanted to show to you in the Kobo Toolbox, as this is something that you might not have to do it right now, but sometime in the future you might have to do it. What happens once you have finalized your data collection? You have analyzed it, you have written your reports. What do you do with it? How do you manage your project, meaning your questionnaire on the Kobo Toolbox account? If you leave it under the deployed, if you don't do anything to it, and in the future, for instance, you have done the baseline right now, and in 6 months, you need to do the endline. But you wish to use another questionnaire for a certain reason. If you keep that questionnaire that you have used for baseline under deployed here, it will be visible on the smartphones, meaning that when time comes for the endline, both the endline and baseline surveys will be visible here and accessible. And the smartphones will be able to download the questionnaire and collect the data with it. So there might be a bit of confusion if you leave it there and you don't do anything to it. So our recommendation, if you have finalized your data collection, everything was analyzed, cleaned, and your report is ready, it's finished, we recommend to archive it, to archive your project, not to delete it from Kobo Toolbox, delete your whole project with the data, because once you delete it, it's gone. You can never retrieve it unless you have kept a copy somewhere on your computer of the data. But you can archive it, and archive it means it will keep it on the server, but it will not be visible. It will not be accessible anymore for the smartphones to use it for data collection and so on. So this is how you do it. Once you are on your main page, you can see all your projects here that are deployed. Then you also see that some of them are already archived. And in order to archive, for instance, the wins, you simply have to go here, like when we were going before to see the submissions. As soon as you had your mouse on it, those 3 dots will open up. So click on the 3 dots, and then here you'll have several options that are available for you, and click on archive. Then once you do that, this window will open asking you, are you sure you want to archive this project? And then you need to say yes, the blue button. The blue buttons are very important in Kobo Toolbox, remember. So click on archive to confirm it, and then it will move from deployed to archive. Now, what is also very interesting with this archiving option is that you can always unarchive it. For instance, if you have decided that you will never use your baseline survey again in the future, so you archive it, but then you realize in 6 months that actually you can use it and you want to use it, then you can unarchive it. You can put it back under deploy. You can move it from here to here. So it can be easily moved from here to here, no problem for that. And don't delete it, as if you delete it, you can contact the Kobo Toolbox team. They will not be able to retrieve it for you. It's gone. If you delete it, it's gone. Okay, so let's see on my browser how this looks like. So I'm going to the main menu of Kobo Toolbox, the projects again, and I'm intending to archive the WINS survey, for instance. So I'm going here on the 3 dots. I click on the 3 dots, and then I choose archive. I confirm. And now it's gone from deployed to archived here. And now I realize, shoot, oh, actually, no, I need it. I need it back. So I can simply click here on the 3 dots on archive. Yes, I confirm. And now it goes back up. And now it's visible on the phones again. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. You can move it from one to the other without any issues. Do you have any questions on this? Is everything clear? Okay, don't hesitate to write any questions you might have on the chat, and we will take the time to reply to you. No worries. Now I have my data. Great. I have my data set in XLS with XML values and header, and now I am ready for to import and analyze my data set and my survey into the SWSC FACET Analyser. So how do I do this? What do I see there afterwards? Now, one of the first things we recommend you to do is you might use the analysis tool for several surveys. You might need to do several surveys in time, and you wish to import your survey and your data into an analysis tool and then save it this way, so that you don't have to do this every time. So if that's the case, we recommend you to rename your analyzer. So the analyzer itself, it's going to be named FACET SWSC HCF Blue Schools Analysis Tool V3, for instance. And we recommend you to rename it. For instance, this was for Burkina Faso dataset 1. We had only one dataset for Burkina Faso. So rename it so that you can easily find it whenever you need to find it afterwards in the future. Then another thing, once you open your analyzer, you will see in the instructions tab, which is the first tab. You see there are different tabs there, but this is one of the first tabs you'll come across. It's instructions tab telling you how to manage your how to import your survey, how to import your data, and so on and so on. At the very beginning of this tab, you have this select language, choix de la langue. At the very beginning of your tab, and you can switch from English to French. So two languages are available, English and French, and you can switch your whole analysis tool from English to French and French to English whenever you need it. So all the tabs, all the information here, the instructions, the titles, everything will switch from English to French and French to English whenever you do this. So let me show it to you. So I have one analyzer that is open here. Okay, let's take for instance, the Mali. I have one data set with Mali and one data set with one analyzer with Mali data and one analyzer with Burkina Faso data. So I'm opening this one. I have one data set here that is important already. And now so I open it, I look at all the tabs I have here. Okay, interesting. I have quite a lot of things, and even further on. Okay, but one of the first one, the first in list is the instructions one. And here I have the select language. And for instance, I want to see it in French. I simply, okay, maybe let me have it a bit bigger for you. Here it is. So you can see better, and I can switch it from English to French. I put français, and then it might take a bit of time because, as you can see, there are quite a lot of tabs, and the system will have to work a bit behind this instruction. But everything from the titles to the instructions to even the titles here in the analysis itself will switch from French to English as soon as you click on this. So now I have it in French, and I'll put it back in English. And here I have already renamed my analysis tool. I have named it Mali HCF. This is with the HCF form, the health facilities form for Mali. And I only have one data set imported, so I called it dataset 1. Okay, so now it's putting back in English. Okay, now what do I do once I'm here? So I'm still in the instructions tab. What do I need to do for my analyzer to be to work, to have my survey, my data, and know what it has to do, and then display to me all the results that are necessary for me. So in the analyzer itself, you have to import both your questionnaire, your survey, in XLS format. That's very important. That you should have available. By clicking here on the import your survey button, then you have to choose the file. You have to have your file somewhere on your computer, on your desktop, or in your files. You will need to search for it, and as soon as you select it, you have this message telling you, please note that this step might take a few minutes. Please keep Microsoft Excel open during this time. So it's quite a significant survey with a significant database in a significant tool. So it might take a few minutes. And if that's the case, don't worry. It's your tool is working behind. So if it's a few minutes, don't worry for that. So please just keep it open and wait for it to import your survey. And then as soon as your survey is imported, then it will tell you your XLS survey has been successfully imported into this tool. Please note that this step may take a few minutes. Please keep Microsoft open during this time. So this, this means that now you have your survey imported here in your tool. Now, what do you need to do next? You might have some residual data, some other data set that is still in the tool itself. So before importing your data that has been collected with the survey we have already imported here, you might need to clean it first, to clean off all the residual data that is there. So you might need to reset all data that is there. So the step 2 will be to simply click on reset, and then it will tell you, okay, it has been successfully reset. So there's no more data here. You only have a survey for now, no data for now. So now you have cleaned your analyzer. So you're ready to import your data set. So the data sets, the data that has been collected by using the questionnaire you have just imported before. So here you have a bit of instructions, just a quick reminder on the fact. So those are screenshots from the analyzer itself from the instruction tab. So if you search for it, don't worry, it's there. But you have a quick reminder on the format that is necessary. And this is really, really important. If you import another format, it will not recognize it. It will not work. So it has to be XLS with XML values and headers. And then it's telling you it's really, really important that it has to be like that. Then it tells you, please click on dataset 1, import data, dataset A. And as soon as you click on it, again, it will tell you, okay, this might take a few minutes, please don't worry. Please keep Microsoft Excel open during this time. And as soon as the data has been imported, then it will tell you your data have successfully been imported into this tool. And now you have your questionnaire and one data set that was imported in your tool. And the tool itself will then analyze it and provide to you the analysis that I'll show to you further on during this webinar. Now, another thing, and this is optional. This doesn't have to be done, but it's an option you have and you can use it. You can actually import a second data set that has been collected with the same survey, with the same questionnaire. And you can do so by clicking on this button, import data, dataset B, that will be made available. You will not see it from the beginning. It will be made available once you have already imported your dataset A. So and this is optional. This is why you don't see it from the beginning. You can only import your survey in one data set, it will be fine. Your tool will already be working correctly, will be displaying to you the results and so on. But if you wish to add another layer to have a second data set with which you wish to compare, then you have this possibility. And again, it's the same process. You click on import data, dataset B. So it has to be the same format as the one before, XLS with XML values and headers. That's very important. Then it will tell you, okay, I'm doing this right now. It might take a few minutes. Please wait and don't close Microsoft Excel. And then once your second data set, the dataset B has been imported, it will tell you it has been successfully imported into this tool. So here is the process, the whole process that is also explained in the instructions tab. And now, once you have imported your survey and at least one dataset A or even dataset B at the same time, you will see that there are several tabs that will appear in your analyzer. Depending on the form you have used to collect the data, whether it's the health facilities or the Blue Schools form, you'll have this appearing or this. And for both cases, you'll have other analysis features that will appear as well. So let's have a look at what we have here. First of all, we have HCF analysis 1 data set. So this is in the case where we had one data set. And if you have uploaded a second data set along it, you'll have HCF analysis 2 data sets. So this is what we call the summary dashboard. So you'll see all the data here together, whether it's, you'll have a comparison if you have 2 data sets between data set 1 and data set 2. But within the data set, it will be a global summary that you have in there. And then you have HCF analysis by HCF, sorry. This is more of an individual dashboard that you have up here. And for Blue Schools, it's the same. Just the names of the tabs will change, but it's exactly the same structure. So if you have one data set, it would say analysis one data set. And if you have two, it will say two. And then you'll have the individual dashboard here appearing. And in addition to this, you'll have, in any case, whether it's the HDF form or the Blue School form, you'll have the bar graph and pie chart tabs that will appear as well. Okay, so let me go into my analyzer. Yes, that's the one. I will show to you. We will not look into the content of each one of the tabs yet. We will do so in the next steps. But I just wanted to show to you how it looks like. So I have already imported my survey. I have already reset it. And I have imported the dataset A and dataset B. No, just dataset A. As I see here, one dataset, I have only imported dataset A. So one at a time. But I have already done all the instructions that you've seen. They're all here under the instruction tab. I clicked on the buttons each time, so import your survey. I'll not do it right now because it takes a bit of time, but I had selected it and then open and so on. Okay, and it tells me nothing has changed. Oops, I hope I didn't upset it. No, it's fine. But yeah, nothing has changed, but I follow the steps here in the instructions, each one of them very carefully. I have imported the correct dataset format and so on. So now it's ready. It has all the necessary tabs. So for instance, here, those are the two tabs that I was telling to you. So this is the health facility form. So I have health facility summary dashboard here with only one data set. We will be looking into this further on, but just to give you the global overview of what we have here. And those are the individual dashboards. So the analysis has been done. It has matched the survey with the data set and we have it here. And we also have the bar graph and pie charts that are ready as well. Now, let's go back to our presentation. And we will look at two different data sets. We will look in more details as what do we have as an analysis here? What kind of information we have here? Now, here we have the case where we have the health facilities form with only one data set. And here we have the summary dashboard. So what kind of information do we have here? First of all, we have the general service areas, the GMP indicators that you can see here, for instance, and here. So we're gonna scroll down, or you're gonna see in the tool itself. And we also have the delivery rooms, which are the GMP indicators for maternity wards that you'll see here in the service level indicators and then the core indicators themselves. And in addition to this, you have 5 specific services that will be displayed here. You have the water, you have the sanitation, hygiene, waste management, and environmental cleaning. Now, let's go to our dashboard. Yes, that's the one. And I'm going to the same tab. I'm going to make it a bit bigger so that you can see it better. So here I can even put some filters for my data if I wish to see for a specific admin level 1 or level 2 and so on, or per delivery room. Now in this tab here, I have 2 main sections. First of all, I have the service level indicators section, and then I have the core indicators themselves. Now here, under the section 1 service levels indicators, I have the general service areas and I have the delivery rooms. And under each one of those, I have the 5 specific water, sanitation, hygiene, waste management, environmental cleaning, and same for delivery rooms. And I have some pie charts here beneath each one of them. So here, for instance, I have the number of data entries that I have and their percentage for basic access to water, for limited and no service. And here, as I only have one data set, you'll see, I'll show you an example where you have 2 different data sets. Here, only one data set is reflected. If you had two of them, you'll see them side by side here, dataset 1, dataset 2, so that you can compare. But here there is no comparison that needs to be done. It only concerns one dataset. So this is why you have only one pie chart. And under section 2, the core indicators, you have the water, you have the sanitation, hygiene, waste management, and environmental cleaning. So you have the 5 specific sections again. And for each one of them, again, you have the general service areas and the delivery room. And you have, for instance, the percentage on the general service areas, you have the percentage of HCF in improved water supply within 500 meters, for instance. You have the number of data entries, and then the answers for each one of them in a pie chart or a bar graph, depending.
Claudia?
Yes.
Just to add to what you're saying, the general service areas view on the water that you see right now, those individual pie charts, you'll see those are individual questions, which depending on the way those are answered, they lead up to the overall service level calculation. So if you want to see how a particular service level got to a particular percentage above, you would just come down here and look. This shows you more of the detail of how those questions were answered collectively with all of the survey data.
Yes, thank you very much, John. Okay, and then we have the sanitation displayed, we have the hygiene, and the waste management. So we will be sending to you the tool, and you'll be able to, you might be a bit quick right now during the webinar as we are time bound, but whenever we send it to you, feel free to have a good look at it and all the indicators you have here that are computed. Okay, now let's go back to our presentation and see the second tab that is available. So again, we are in the HCF, so health facility form, with one data set, and we are going to go into the individual dashboards tab. So this is the HCF analysis by HCF. So here is how it will look like. So here you have per healthcare facility. So this is why it's individual. It's individually by healthcare facility. And then again, you'll have for service levels, the general service area and delivery rooms, and for the 5 specific services, the water, sanitation, hygiene, waste management, and environmental cleaning. So let's have a look at how it looks like in the tool itself. So I'm going to this next tab. I'm making it big again so that I can clearly see it. Again, I have some filters here for dataset 1 and dataset 2 if needs be. And then I have per healthcare facility. So I only have a data set 1. So here I don't have a second row, but if I had a data set 2, I'll have a second row here so that you can compare. But here I have for this healthcare facility, Tiamarabugu, for instance, data set 1. I have the service levels and then the specific sectors. And here for service levels, I have for general service areas and for delivery rooms. And again, the same structure, the water, sanitation, hygiene, waste management, environmental cleaning. And then with my indicators are computed. And if I go further, I can see this. So for instance, for water, I have the general service area, delivery rooms, and other. And for sanitation, it is the same. General service areas, delivery rooms, there are no others. But if there are any, you can see them. And it is the same for all of them, all 5 sectors. Sections, I'm sorry. If you wish to add anything on this, John, feel free to do so. Okay, let me know.
That's fine the way you've described it. The idea of this data set and this this dashboard is so that you could really see what's happening in a particular school or healthcare facility.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Okay, now, okay, it's here. Now let's look at the different analysis tool. We have here we have the blue schools form. We have imported 2 data sets, and we are again looking at the summary dashboard. So that was the first dashboard that we have already looked at. But now we're going to look for blue schools with 2 data sets that are imported. So what will be the differences? Now, specific to the blue schools, you'll see, first of all, in the section 1 service level indicators, you'll see the washing schools. And you also see the blue schools. So the washing schools, there is a GMP indicator that has the GMP indicators, and the blue schools that has the SWSC Eawag indicators. And then for the blue schools, you have 7 specific services, which is water, sanitation, hygiene, menstrual health and hygiene, solid waste management, school gardening, and environmental activities. So this is what you'll find in your analysis tool whenever you have the blue schools. Okay, it's here. Whenever you have the blue schools form imported, and also it will be interesting to see how it looks like when you have 2 different data sets. Now, again, we have the same sections, 1 service level indicators, then core indicators. Here we have washing schools now and blue schools. For washing schools, you have water, sanitation, hygiene, blue schools, menstrual health and hygiene, solid waste management, school gardening, environmental activities. And also what is interesting here, as we have 2 different data sets that are important to this tool. Remember here we had a pie chart, and now we have 2 bar graphs with 1 for data set A and 1 for data set B, so that you can compare how it is. Now here we have imported twice the same data set. So it is normal that it's identical actually. Well, maybe not for this is slightly different, but you'll have differences. This is so that you can easily see the differences here for each one of the specific sections. And again, under core indicators, you'll have the water, the outcome indicators, the functionality indicators. For instance, maybe the functionality aspects of the water source. You can see it here. Yes.
Yes, in this particular data set, I mean, this is an actual data set from the team in Burkina Faso, from the Helvetas team. And if you scroll back up a little bit to look at the overall situation, so in the water, we see that there are no healthcare facilities with basic level services. It's all no service. So if you scroll down now, that's why there's not much appearing here, because there's really nothing to say in terms of the, hitting those indicators. But where they do have some progress, if you scroll back up, I think it's in hygiene, for example. There's a significant amount of schools, 5 schools are meeting basic level for hygiene. Now, if you scroll back down to the hygiene section, you can see how that's showing, how that's playing itself out. So like that, you have, the different ways that the hygiene indicator is calculated. Thanks, Claudia.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very much. So indeed, you'll see the big picture here, and then you'll see you can look more into details here, and for each one of the sections, the specific.
And one other thing to say, as you mentioned before, Claudia, we just imported 2 of the same data sets to be able to do the demonstration for this training. Mm-hmm. So you're going to see most of the data is identical, and there's been no change between one data set and the other. But our hope is that from the first data set, which would be the baseline survey, where, for example, there is no service in all of the water, no water service in all of the schools, you would see a change in the midline or in the ed line over time. So you'd be able to compare that change and then show that change visually through the graphics.
Thank you very much, Sean. Okay, now let's have a look at the second one. Let's go back to our presentation. So again, we are in the same situation, blue schools, 2 data sets, which are the same in our case, but hopefully not in the future. And then we will be looking at the individual dashboards. So how will those look like? So as you can see, it's the same structure, but now you have a second column here. Now for the blue schools, you'll have individual analysis per facility name, per facility name, and for the service levels, washing schools and blue schools, such as in the first dashboard. Now, you also have the 7 specific services: water, sanitation, hygiene, menstrual health and hygiene, solid waste management, school gardening, and environmental activities. Now, how does it look like in my dashboard? Yes, that's one. I can see it here. Let me zoom in a bit. Again, with all the filters in needs be. Now we have 2 data sets, so you can filter for each one of them. We have a second row that was added as we have a second data set. Again, the information is almost the same as it's the same data set that we have put here during this webinar, but this will not necessarily be the case in your case. We have the service levels: washing schools, blue schools, and then water, sanitation, hygiene for washing schools, and menstrual health and hygiene, solid waste management, school gardening, and environmental activities for blue schools. And then we have each one of the specific sections, so water, sanitation, and so on. And we have washing schools, for instance, for those. For menstrual health and hygiene, we have blue schools. And for all the remaining ones, we will have blue schools as well. So you can see all the indicators here with their level that is computed. And this, again, for each one of the facility names. So here we have 2, 4, 6 facility names. Okay, now let's go back to our presentation. So those are the core questions. Now, in addition to the core questions, you can also analyze the non-core questions, and this is done through the other tabs. We have told you about the bar graph and pie charts tabs, and this is how they look like. This is the bar graph that you can see here, and this is available for the expanded and preliminary or general questions, and there is also a disaggregation that is possible. So this is the bar graph. You can see it here. So this is the main question with the disaggregation itself. So you have to select the question with the disaggregation that you wish to have, and then your graph will adapt to it. And here is an example of a pie chart. So it's also available for the expanded questions and so on, and the disaggregation is also possible. So again, this is the main question, and here you have the disaggregation that was possible. Now, what you need to know about those bar graphs and pie charts, it will not show data that is from both data sets altogether. If you import 2 data sets, it will only be able to display 1 data set at a time in the bar graph and pie charts. And this is really important to keep in mind. You will not have it will not be a sum of both of them. It will be one or the other. And for you to be able to know, first of all, which one is displayed. So in our case, for the Burkina Faso dataset, we have 2 datasets. Well, it's not important in our case because it's the same dataset displayed twice, but let's assume it's a different one. Dataset B is different from dataset A. Then you'll need to know which one is displayed already in your bar graph and pie charts tabs. And in order to know and to change if needed, you need to go into the config tab. So this config tab, it relates to the bar graph and pie charts tabs. And here under sheet names, data, here you have dataset A, meaning that in bar graph and pie charts right now, dataset A is displayed. So you will not see dataset B. If you wish to have dataset B displayed instead, you need to change the A to B, actually. So replace dataset A by the
Okay, it looks like Claudia may have dropped off. Are you still there, Claudia? Okay, she might have a connectivity.
Yes.
There. Okay.
Hello, I'm back. Sorry, I don't know what happened. When did you lose me? Was it a while back or?
It was just a few seconds ago. You just showed us how to choose the dataset A if you want to use the pie charts and bar graphs in the config tab. So we saw all of that.
Okay, okay. So it was just a few seconds. Okay.
Yeah, really.
Oh, sorry.
I think you can just continue. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Let me open the chat.
Apparently, Sebastian also was kicked out, as you write. Of course, we didn't want to kick anybody out, Sebastian. And if others had that experience, we'll be readmitting you or rejoin as soon as you can, please. We do have about 15 minutes remaining, and we'll be just finishing up this presentation and then taking some Q&A. I have received a few questions from Caritas Cambodia. But first, please proceed, Claudia.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so we were discussing on how to change from one data set to the other, as we cannot see both of them together. It's either A or B. Now let's go into our analysis tool. Okay, so this is the one. No, actually, yes. This is the one that I wanted to show to you. Let me show you first the bar graph and pie charts, what they look like. So here I'm back in the HCF form with one data set. Now, again, as you've seen in the presentation, in the screenshot, you can choose the question that you wish to have displayed here. You can simply choose it. So now I've already chosen what type of toilet latrines are at the facility for patients. And then you can see all the possible answers and the ones that were selected. So for instance, and you can also exclude codes. For instance, if the other is not of interest to you, or if you wish to, you have the text a bit too tight here, and you wish to get rid of some of them, you can simply say, okay, I don't want, for instance, 12 to be displayed. And you have to let your system work a bit, and then the 12 will not be displayed anymore. And here you can have a disaggregation by the variable that you wish to have disaggregated by. So you can choose it here. Now I've chosen by function of interviewing person. And here you have their function and the reply for each one of the functions. Okay, so that's for the bar graph. Now for pie charts, it's the same. It's the same structure. So let me make it bigger. So you need to select your question here, and then your disaggregation here, and you have your pie chart displayed here, and then pie charts for the disaggregation here again. Okay. Do you? No, I haven't seen.
I think one thing that's important, you've been saying it all along, Claudia, is to be patient with this Excel analyzer tool. It's quite a heavy file, and really as we've developed it with CartONG over time, the authors of FACET have said, wow, we're really pushing the limits of Microsoft Excel with this tool. And it's true. So it does take some time to respond to the different requests that you might enter into it. It does take some time to import the data sets or to analyze the data sets if you do make some changes. But we are seeing that it is reliable. And the reason we wanted to go for this Excel option was to use an open source application with Microsoft Excel, which is accessible to most everyone. As a very cheap and efficient way to do data collection and monitoring. We'll be talking about other aspects of how we'll be doing it online reporting, which will be in a different platform. But this is really just a tool that any team can use for their own project reporting and for their own purposes.
Yes. Thank you very much. And also something important to say is you can easily copy and paste those graphs and even the tables from here. You can make screenshots and easily put them in your reports and use them for the analysis as they are. Also, we have I see a comment which is directly on this bar graph from Bruno. Thank you. I suggest to select the option, place options in descending order on bar graph. This is more readable. Indeed. You have the option here. So you already have the graph labels to put the labels together and not have them overlapping. And you could also choose this one, place options in descending order, so that you can see your graph a bit better visually. Yes, thank you very much for this comment. Now on the config, so I'm on the config tab, and I wanted to show to you where to change the dataset. So here you have the dataset A that is displayed, and if you wish to have now here we only have one dataset, but if you wish to have a second dataset displayed, then you need to change to dataset B. Also, if you wish to change, for instance, this survey was held in French. So French is also available as a language for the survey itself. So here, if you prefer to have your titles and of the questions and all the labels in French, you can simply change it from here, from English to French. And then, well, you have to select it again because now it doesn't know. But here you have the questions in French instead of English. Now, something else important, here you have in the instructions tab, you also have instructions on how to configure your general analysis tool, the orange tabs, meaning the bar graph and pie chart. So there are a few explanations here. For instance, the language and all of that, it's explained here how you can do that, how you can change it. Okay, yes. So, yes.
There's just a couple questions that Caritas Cambodia had asked.
Yes.
They were asking, well, first of all, this is just a general question, but if the data in the FACET survey, if they've collected the data in the FACET survey and kept it in ODK on their phones, as well as submitting it, do they need to keep that data in ODK anymore on their phones, or is it enough to just keep it on the Kobo Toolbox?
Okay, I see the question. So if you have connected, so since you have sent your data from ODK Collect to Kobo Toolbox, you have connected on your account on Kobo Toolbox, and you can confirm that all the data that has been sent is on the Kobo Toolbox, you can delete the data from ODK Collect because it's already stored on Kobo Toolbox, so it's fine, it's there. I recall insisting on the deletion of data, and that's a really good question because it's directly related to that. Indeed, if you haven't sent the data from ODK Collect to Kobo Toolbox, so it's not stored on Kobo Toolbox, and you delete it on your phone on ODK Collect, it's gone. And you need to be careful with that. So this is why I'm saying first confirm, look on Kobo Toolbox, has all the data been sent here? Is it here in a safe place? If it's a yes, then you can clean your phone, your ODK Collect, you can delete the survey, the data, everything, because it's already stored on the Kobo Toolbox. It's even actually recommended because you might need that phone for other surveys, and having 20 to 30 surveys and data entries there related to something else might be a bit confusing. So.
Thanks, Claudia. And Caritas Cambodia had another question they sent to me privately. If they, for example, have done the baseline survey, they've done an annual survey and an end-line survey, is it possible to do the comparison between these three surveys? So there the answer is you can do a comparison between two data sets. So for example, between the baseline survey and the end-line survey, or you could import the midline survey if you do one and do a comparison between midline and end-line. That is the limitation of the FACET tool, but already that you're able to compare two data sets is an achievement. But for the online reporting platform that we're looking at doing, there we will be able to compare over time the different data collections. So for example, the core indicators for the Washington schools or for blue schools, over time you'll be able to see how that's changing in the online reporting tool that we're currently developing right now.
Yes.
And Sebastian is answering to Lucy's previous question. Thanks a lot, Sebastian. Lucy had asked if one person is already logged on to a Kobo account, no one else can log into that account. So Sebastian's experience is that I can connect to the same Kobo account with the same username and password from two different computers at the same time. So it seems possible. However, I'm not sure what kind of conflicts might happen if two different persons work simultaneously on the same Kobo project. So I recommend at least some coordination. Claudia, do you have insight into Lucy's original question and also Sebastian's remarks on that?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So you can connect to even from 3, 4 different computers to the same account. There's no limit in terms of how many people can connect. So thank you very much for that, Sebastian. And in terms of conflicts, indeed, if you don't coordinate and if you work on different projects, so you're connecting on to the same account on 3 different computers concerning 3 different projects, there might not be any conflict because you are creating different projects. You're working on different things, so it's fine. You can do that simultaneously. However, if 3 people will work on the same project from 3 different computers, then indeed coordination is key to not having any issues itself. Yeah. So Seb has already replied to the question. Yes.
Thanks, Claudia. Well, when you were presenting in a much earlier slide on the Kobo account and how you can delete data sets, you saw that there's a little red trash can when you were hovering over that. Just a word there, it's important there, right, not to be deleting those data sets, because you do have the option either to edit or to delete. And so if you did delete something at that point in your Kobo Toolbox, then it is gone. Is that yes. True?
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Okay.
So Kobo Toolbox is your storage place. So if you delete it from there and you don't have a copy on your computer or anywhere else of this data, then it will be indeed gone. Yes.
So, okay.
So you need to be careful.
The edit function. Yes, absolutely. The edit function with our survey forms, Claudia, do you have insights? Is it possible to edit some data that's been submitted with the complexity of the survey forms that we have?
I tested it the other day and actually no, the way the data, so I don't know if you still see my screen.
Yes, we do.
On the WIN survey, for instance, I'm going on the table and I'll choose any data. Okay, it's loading. If I click on the edit, I'll have an error message. Yes, because the way the form is built, so from when you have created the XLS form itself, it has some skip patterns and some quite complex relationship between one question and the other, and you cannot so this works perfectly on the application on the collect, but once you send it to the server, then the server is not able to access that data to modify it, as there is a complex skip in it. So if whenever you attempt, you receive this error message or another error message if something else is bothering it, but then you will not be able.
Thanks for that. So in fact, for the survey forms that we have for the consortium in phase 3, it's not possible to edit data from the Kobo account for those surveys. However, if they needed to edit something, they wanted to do some data cleaning, would exporting the data and editing it in Microsoft Excel be okay before importing it into the FACET Analyser, for example?
Yes. But still be careful with so just be careful that you're going to be in Excel, so you can modify it as you wish, no worries. However, you are using the XML values and headers language, so if you modify a choice or something like that, make sure you're using the XML language when doing that, otherwise that specific answer might not be readable to
thank you.
So still you can, for instance, if you have duplicates and you detect duplicates, you can delete the entire line without any issues and you will not cause anything to its format. However, if you modify the data itself inside of the data entry, then be careful how you modify it.
Okay, that's a very careful operation you have to do. I know Sebastian and Bruno are on the call. Sebastian, you may have had some direct experience with this. Has it worked for you to have to do some data cleaning to edit those files that you export in the format that Claudia is showing here? Feel free to unmute yourself if you're listening. If he's still on the call.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Sebastian.
Hello.
Personally, not for FACET per se, but as a general rule in mobile data collection, yes, data cleaning is an essential part of treating and analyzing data from mobile data collection. But yeah, so using Kobo tools and the Kobo Analyzer, using XML values and headers, which is basically computer code, you could say, for the analyzer to treat. As Claudia said, you have to be very careful using proper syntax, and because I mean, if you make a typo, the computer tool is not clever enough to recognize that that you've just typed a wrong letter here or there. So you have to be very careful and make sure that you use proper syntax and that you clean your data properly. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Sebastian. So in case there is some anomaly noted and members of the consortium, when they're doing the reporting or they'd like some guidance on this, we do have the hotline. And maybe if we go back to the presentation now, Claudia, we can go through those final slides, just take a few more minutes.
Sure.
But that hotline is there to support us.
Sure, with pleasure. If I may just say another recommendation about the data cleaning process. So before having to clean your data in Kobo Toolbox, remember that your data entry will be on ODK Collect application. So and actually it's easier to check it and to modify any answer if needs be on ODK Collect than in the database itself. So in order to avoid having huge amounts of data cleaning to be done afterwards, either in the database itself or Kobo Toolbox if it's possible, check your data on ODK Collect already. So before sending it to the server, have a little look at it and see if there's anything not making sense or anything that could be corrected. As this will with this, you'll gain a significant amount of time during data cleaning process in the database itself afterwards. So data cleaning and data verification starts already on the application itself. Okay, so I'm going to the presentation now. Apologies, we're going a little bit over time. Now, after this session, as a practical homework, if for those that have not done yet, you can still conduct the baseline SWSC FACET data collection by using the adapted XLS form that will be shared, that was shared with you through email or will be shared if there's still a need. Now, just as a quick reminder on your ODK application, so credentials might have been sent to you to log into the Kobo Toolbox account and also log in to Kobo Toolbox account from ODK Collect application. In terms of the credentials, remember that the URL will always be, so here you're seeing my URL, the one that I'm using for this training, for this webinar, but yours will be different. It will not be this one. It will be the HTTPS KC humanitarian response.info, and then after this dash here, it will be your username that has been shared with you through email. And then it will be your username and your password that will need to be entered and not the ones you're seeing here. So this is just to provide an example, and it already gives you an idea of where to put what, but yours login credentials will be different. So if you're having issues with this, please let us know, and we're always happy to help. So please feel free to send us an email to the hotline or talk to John, but reach out to us. No worries, we're always happy to help. Also, after the session, we will be sending to you the FACET Analyser, the tool itself, through email. and you can test it. So as you've seen, there's quite a lot of information there, a lot of analysis that is done, and we went through it quite quickly during this webinar because we don't have too much time to spend on it. But feel free to explore it and to test it and see how it works, to import the data set, the survey, and everything that you have available, and have a look at the analysis, how it's done. So this is also as a practical homework after this session. And also what we wish to tell you, so again, during your homework or even afterwards, first of all, the presentation, the ones you've seen during those 3 webinars will be, well, the first 2 ones have already been shared with you, but this one again will be shared with you after the webinar. And also you have support that is available to the regional advisor, the CMU, and also to the hotline support. So please send an email to this email address, and we'll be always happy to help. And we can even organize Skype calls or anything that is needed whenever necessary.
Thank you very much, Claudia.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add one more point, and then we can open up for questions if others have them. That for your baseline survey in the past, in previous consortium phases, you have submitted a separate report, like a baseline survey report. If you're using the FACET tools and you do import your data into the analyzer, this is sufficient. You can share this analyzer with your regional advisor or with the CMU so we can take a look at it. But you do not need to put together a separate baseline report unless you would like to, unless that is your practice and you're in the process of putting a narrative together and adding graphs. For our purposes, for healthcare facilities and blue schools, we'll be using the Excel information. Actually, the teams will be using the Excel information to complete their annual report. So they'll be indicating what the results were from the baseline report. So they'll be doing that directly online. If you're working in communities, as we do not have a mobile data collection set up with FACET for Washington communities, you should do your baseline survey, as we've said previously, in your own format, in your own way, whether it's mobile data collection or paper-based. And also you should share that report with your regional advisor for some guidance and for information. Yeah, so with that, I think if there are some other questions, some comments going into the chat room, we can take a look at those. Let's see. So Lucy has clarified some information about the password. Bruno, I think you can share the MDC Toolkit website on support for the homework. Okay, for sure, we can share that. Yeah, that's a really good reference that CartONG and Terrazon have developed. Lucy is also mentioning, please copy your regional advisor when you contact the hotline so we can ensure follow-up. Excellent reflex. Satya thank you very much, Satya, for this remark. And Bruno has just put that mdctoolkit.org resource into the chat room for everyone to see. So we'll also be sharing that when we do share the presentation and the recording of this session by email. Are there any burning questions or comments that someone would like to make? Even non-burning ones? Okay, well, as we've said before, the data analyzer will be sent to you by email. We'll be sending it to the different project teams. We're doing a few final touch-ups. You may have noticed when Claudia was showing it today, there may be a few things which need to be adjusted slightly in terms of the font or in terms of the sizing. So we'll be sending that, I think, in the next week. I think we're in good time to have teams be finishing up their baseline surveys and then importing that data using the methods that Claudia has explained today into the analyzer. And of course, the regional advisors and myself are here for support, as well as the CartONG hotline. I would really like to thank Claudia and the CartONG team, but particularly Claudia for the work that you've done to condense this experience of FACET into these 3 training sessions and deliver it so fluidly. It's been a pleasure to work with you on this, and yeah, our heartfelt thanks for the support. And thanks to all of you for your interest and for joining us today. and we will be in touch by email for the next steps. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Thank you, Claudio.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Satya.
Thank you.
Thank you.